You are responsible for your own neuroplasticity, and this takes great awareness. Now, our emotions are our emotional programming is exactly that, the result of patterns in our life, reinforcing patterns to maintain the status quo. This is at the unconscious level of emotional reasoning. The first thing that you need to do to take control of your life and begin to instantiate free will is recognize your emotions in the moment, to recognize your emotional patterns as you zoom out of the moment. The first thing that you need to do in order to recognize your emotions is to recognize them as valid. I think this is really hard for a lot of people, especially empaths, people who are programmed to, if not necessarily give, then to continually put themselves in the space of the other, creating a lot of inner turbulence. And a lack of a solid inward foundation. And it's impossible to have a will without that. So the first thing that needs to be done is recognize, oh, I'm in this emotional state. Yeah, that's real. That's okay. And reach into it. It's really easy to want to stuff it down, to live up to some preconceived notion of an emotional standard that you feel like you have to in order to continue survival. And maybe that's a byproduct of somebody telling you that you were invalid at some point, which really isn't true. You count a lot. Everyone does. And the faster that we find our own power, the faster that the world can start to evolve. So recognize that your emotions are valid. Recognize that you are experiencing an emotion, and give yourself the space to see where that is coming from, to recognize what triggered it, to even go back as far as you can in your own life and see where that emotion first showed up. And you'll probably recognize that there is a patterning to it. And it might be really tempting to blame or to try to reach out to have that emotion fulfilled in some way by other people. But once you recognize that it's there, it's been there for a long time, as long as it has been, and that it is yours, it's your emotion, it's your pure, raw energy to work with. And it's probably been guiding your life all along in some way, maybe stringing you along out of an unawareness of it, out of feeling disempowered by it, or maybe even feeling empowered by it. You know, this feels good. I'm gonna keep doing it just because it feels good, even if I don't know why. And but once you start to recognize consciously where this emotion is coming from and the inherent power of it, and that it is a real phenomenon based in cause and effect, and that it's valid and it's yours, you can start to choose what to do with that raw energy. That's all emotions are. They're energy, they're reactive energy under different filters. You know, kind of like colors and sounds buzz at different frequencies. It's the same with emotions. And you can make art, you can make music with your emotions played out on the canvas of life, the symphony of life. And once you start to realize this, you can begin to become the conductor. But it's necessary to have a direction, to sit with yourself and know where you want to go in life and why. You know, without that why of purposefulness, without that seed of faith, of belief. And, you know, like we used to have religion to fill that in, and that whole institution has been deconstructed, and we don't have that catch net anymore. So now more than ever, it is determinate upon the will of people, and determinate on people having a will to begin with, and a meaningful will, a purposeful will that they really savor, you know, something that they can turn to that is their savior. What's your savior? That becomes the direction in which all of this purposeful, self-realizing emotional energy can be funneled. And the story of your life no longer becomes about what happened to you and how you're reacting to it, but how you're happening to life and the playing field of how it responds to you. And it's really cool because eventually what starts to happen is somebody's looking in my window. Curious onlookers. Eventually, what begins to happen is you manifest at the level of frequency that you can start putting out in this purposefulness, from like starting in the space of like recognizing your own validity as a human, as an emotional being, as a person with experiences and responsibility with the energy behind all that and the purposefulness that you bring with that. You know, life is energy. Energy is everywhere. It will break you, it will make you. What is our responsibility is to learn how to conduct energy, to learn how to conduct ourselves. And yeah, the framework of the status quo provides a fantastic beginning of this sort of chamber of resonance that we have to work with. But these foundations, these inner foundations of the fundamentals of what makes the human condition and what makes you, is something that must continually be acknowledged through awareness, and in rising into that, the echo chamber of the status quo is here to be continually shifted, melded, and grafted into new forms of potential. You know, it's not here to define. It's just here as a it's the clay that we work with. Anyway, that was just a little thought bubble that rose out of the water that I wanted to get out and share with you before it popped. Yeah. Hope it can be of service. Mwah.